Welcome to part 3 in my little mini series on how I deal with scraps. Come on in.
Hello everybody, this is Julia Laird with Senior Susie Stamps, and I'm glad you came to visit with me today. This is the third part in my little mini series on how I deal with scraps. And I wanted to start out by saying I tried to do this film yesterday. I have all these lovely cards to show you, and I'll show you them later. But they've all used up a lot of the scraps that I had left over from this pile of paper called Bohemian Dreams. I got it from Paper Wishes one year when they were having a good sale. And I have 3 pieces of this 3D paper towel left, and you'll see some of this used on cards. I don't believe we're going to get to use this up today because I just don't have that much material left, but this is a really nice mix of colors and it can be used with a lot of different paper, so I'm going to set that aside. I do want to show you one card that I worked on yesterday to start with and show you the scraps that were used. Now, I had these 2 circles already cut in my little scrappy bin and this little flower. So I made a tag and put a strip on it. I cut a little decorative edge on the back, and then I made this bow, and that's why I wanted to show you this card today, because I just recently got this folded bow template from Paper Wishes hot off the press, and it's HOTP 7334, and this is the one that I used here to make that bow that I just showed you. And it's a wonderful way to use a small strip of paper that's maybe 1.5 inches by, say, 5.5 inches. So if you've got any extra strips left over, think about making little bows out of them. And if you want that template, I'm sure it's still available. So this is all the paper and the ribbon stock that I have left that goes with Bohemian Dreams, and that's what we're going to finish up today. Well, not the ribbon, because I know I won't use all of that, but I will go ahead and tie up some ribbons out of this and put them in my tied ribbon stash. So let's look and see what we got. These are what's left over from the little paper towel, and I saved those pieces because I thought they might be useful for something. Not sure what. And then I have these 4 cut-aparts. Now, I did use my scan and cut to cut these this week, and it worked out very well. This is another cut-apart, but I've already gone ahead and stamped it. And I cut the white edge off and blacked the edges on that one. There's some little squares here, and we're going to make a card similar to what we did last week using that paper. There's these 4 little scraps that I think will go together somehow. These are some strips, and I'm going to put that with this little guy that I think it'll make a nice little background for him. And then I've got this is a little piece of ephemera that I made. This was one of the printable cut-aparts, and then I used my tag punch. This little curvy bow also came off of the folded bows, and it's an awareness ribbon, and that is right here, and you can see the folded product right there. So I thought that made a nice little embellishment to go on a card, and so we'll probably put that on one of these. I've got 3 pieces that are 1.5 inches by 4 laid out in 3 different card layouts. So we'll do that in just a second, but I believe we'll start with Heard You Caught a Bug. It cracks me up. So, all right. Now what I've done, I stamped this image and colored it. Please don't judge my coloring because I know I'm not very good, but it's okay. And then I blacked the edge, and I've got some foam tape, Now I've gone ahead and put my little strip on the inside in my Get Well sentiment. So what we need to do today is to make the top for this card. And I'm going to make it out of these strips. So let me get just a tiny little bit of room here. And I'm going to make it on one of my spare toppers. Let me check the size. This one has not been cut down, so I'm going to cut, I believe, 1/4 inch off of 2 sides on that one. And there may be enough scraps in this pile to do more than one card. I'm not sure yet. I never know. Now the way I do my little scrap cards is to use my ATG tape runner. And let me show you. I do a perimeter track with my tape all the way up to the edge, because you know when you're putting a little scrap card together, you want to make sure you get glue or tape runner all the way to the edge so that your edges don't curl up on you. So I'm kind of careful with that and take my time, and then I'm just going to lay strips down that are close, and I'll pull it up and show you in just a second, because it's not 100% coverage, but it's close enough, whoops, that there shouldn't be anything that pulls up off of the paper. One more. There, let's see. I think maybe if I twist it in the light just a little bit, you can see there how much tape runner is actually on that page. Now I'm going to do this landscape. This little guy is ready to put down, and I'm going to put him in the middle of the page and then build around him. I kind of like this look. I did several different cards last Christmas using a focal point, because all of my Christmas cards last year ended up being scrap cards. So okay, let's see if we can kind of get him in the middle. I'm using my grid lines. There he goes. And then I'm going to take my paper and just pull around him a little bit. I'm just going to have to work him a little bit here. That way he can be framed by my scraps. That's all I'm doing here, is trying to get a frame around him going. And I can trim off just a little bit later if I need to. That's not a problem. So I'm going to add another few little scraps on the outside edges here. In kind of a random pattern. It doesn't really matter at this point. I really just wanted the frame starting up around him. Where's my scissors? Oh, I would tell you about the day I had filming yesterday, but it was absolutely horrific. It was like Murphy stomped on my YouTube mojo. I cannot tell you. It was crazy. So I was glad to toss that entire film in the bin. That's all right. Some days you just got to do it. Okay, now I'm going to trim the back off, and I'm going to trim that little piece of white off, I think. I may just use my black Sharpie and do a little edge on that. Let's just wait and see for a sec here. On cards like this, the elevation in the middle really adds quite a bit of interest in the card layer. You could have done just a basic background, but I didn't think I had enough material to fill all that in. All I'm going to do is just trim this. I don't think it'll ever be noticed. I think this piece of paper just wasn't really cut square. I better put that back on my trimmer and do it right. I'll pull my little guide up here. Yeah, I don't think I'll regret doing that. Yeah, that looks much better. I'm going to black the edge around that just to make sure there's no white showing on the background. Because I don't like that little white line that shows up when you have a glue up like this. There, much better. Now, he's ready to glue down and finish up. If I'd had plenty of scraps, I would have done the background completely. But because I didn't, I thought using this, I think he was 2 3/4 square. I think that solved that problem just fine. And still trying to use up some of these little foam squares that I got. I think these came from the Dollar Tree, if I'm not mistaken. And they're nice foam squares. I just, I don't like them. They're the headache for me for some reason. I don't know why, really. And then I'm going to glue this end down. I just think he's so cute. There we go. One done. So let's get into this stack over here. Now I've got a little strip to go on the inside and 3 strips to go on the outside. There. And then 1 to pop up in the middle. And I think that's going to make a nice little simple birthday card. Let's see. I'm going to put the outer ones on first and bring them right to the very edge of the paper. This has been the most lovely pack of paper to work with. It has had all kinds of lovely colors and script and polka dots and knitting. It's just wonderful. And I will really have enjoyed using it. And both sides of the paper was just gorgeous. So, you know how you have your favorite papers and you just kind of hang on to them. And, well, it doesn't do us any good to do that, does it? No, it doesn't. I'll just answer myself right there and then. One of the things that I did last week was to clean scissors and redo my foam tape and do some general cleaning in the studio. It sometimes, if you don't stay after it, it'll get away from you. I always put everything away before I start a new project, and I find that helps me be a little more sane in my approach to crafting, because otherwise if I get too much stuff going on, I get kind of distracted. And you know, it's hard to craft when you're distracted, for me. Some people, I suppose, thrive on that, but I just don't. Now, because of this black band around the outside of this, I believe I am going to put a band around the outside here also. Could put it up on a piece of black paper, but there's really not any need for that layer on this card, and it is a scrap card. Let's glue it up on a piece of cardstock. Oh, these are all A2 size cards. 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 base, and these are side folding cards. So I'm going to make this a top folding card landscape. I believe that'd make a nice little man's birthday card. I've got a strip to go on the inside. There's card 2. This one's going to be kind of the same, but it's going to be with this embellishment that I made. Now, there's 3 different pieces here, so let me go ahead and get them glued up. Something simple. That would make it a kind of a unique, kind of a universal card that way. I'm going to glue this directly down because there's a lot of dimension on this little element that I made. And this side here is what I want to be straight. And I think that'll do just fine. Now, there's a tag that was cut, and there's a 1 1/4 inch square that I had that's elevated up on some foam squares. This is a little 3-layer flower plus 2 more smaller layers, and a twine bow, and that little piece of ribbon that we talked about a few minutes ago. It's a lot of different elements in that tag that kind of make it interesting. And then I'm going to try to pull everything together here. Touch them all. There. Yep, I like that. Now, we'll glue that up onto a side folding card. And I'll have to see on this one if it'll have to have a box made, and I suspect with the way that ribbon is turned that it's going to have a box made. There's a little video on my channel about making boxes. They're easy to do. And then this one goes on the inside, or was it this one? It was this one that goes on the inside. There, that one's done. Let's see now, I've got another one here and some pieces over here. I'm not sure whether we can make anything out of this or not. On these 2 pieces, I cut them so that they are proportional to the card base. So there's an equal distance all the way around on both of these pieces of paper, and it is more pleasing to my eye to see something that is proportional that way. And then if you add a little geometric element in, it doesn't become so weird, if you will. And you can make a simple little card with just a simple little sentiment Okay, I think we're going to use there is beauty and simplicity because this is going to be a simple little card. Okay, we're going to get this glued up. I'm trying to decide whether it needs a little black edge around or not. I think we'll not do that on this card. Now we want to get this set so that it's in the center of this piece. So just take your time when you're doing a card like this and just be easy with it. And this one goes right in the center of that one. And it uses up these little weird scraps that you just don't really know what to do with. Especially when you're at the very tail end of a paper pack like this. And then this little guy, I believe we're going to elevate up on some foam. And put him on the diagonal in the center. There we go. And then this little guy is going to be flying in. And let's see where we're going to put this. I think something like that will work just fine. Now I'm going to glue this just right down the middle. And I've pinched his wings. There we go. Now this whole panel I'm going to elevate up. And that adds to the architecture of the card. And it's simple, yes, but it has a lot of factors involved in this card. So it's still an interesting card. And for a person that likes a simple, clean and simple card, this fits that bill. Now I'm going to put this on another side fold card. Oh, that was another thing I did yesterday. I ran out of card bases, honestly. And I knew that I had to get some more made, and I completely forgot about it. And I started filming, and I said, whoopsie. It was a crazy day. I'm going to draw some antennae on that. Little butterfly, and I believe that's done. I don't know that I have, let's see what this one is. Well, that will actually work on the inside of that card, won't it? It will. So we're going to go ahead and put that in. Now we're really getting down to the dregs, aren't we, on these scraps? So let's put our little thinking caps on. See what we can come up with. Oh, wait, I've got one more here. I forgot about it. Okay, this is the same layout that we had last week. These squares are a little bigger than those were. Those were 1 inch. This is 1 1/4 inch square. But I think this is going to be a nice, easy, quick card to put together. I'm going to start by the happy birthday and figure out where I want to put it. And then I'll space my little squares up above it appropriately. I thought this would make a nice, clean and simple men's birthday card. I'm going to black the edges on these because there's a black edge around the sentiment. And that just brings continuity into your card front. This is a very inexpensive way to add a faux layer, if you will, to all of your paper material. And it just takes half a little second. But if you decide to try it, use this broad point chisel tip pen, because it's very challenging to use a smaller pen and do this. I'm going to use glue to put these down with, because I probably am going to have to figure out how they go as I go along. But I'm going to come all the way to the edge here. And then I'm going to run my imaginary line up here so that I can try to come in straight. And I'm going to do the other one here. And then I'll probably elevate the center ones. I'll point that to this corner here. There. And one more of that one. There we go. And I'm going to try to elevate these two and see how that works. I think it's going to be just fine. And I believe this white layer will need a little black edge around it. Let me go ahead and put that on right now. And then we're going to elevate the whole card up. There. That's going to be a really nice card. Let's see. Well, do we need to elevate it up or not? I think it'll look a little better if we do. I'm going to fix that right there. So I don't like the way that looks. There. And put some tape on the back. We're really getting down to the bottom here now. Okay. There. That's a nice birthday card for a man. I don't know. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Let's just see what we got here. I wonder if we could maybe use one of these also. Let's see. Oh, I think so. Yes. There we go. It kind of mimics that, what's underneath the happy birthday, doesn't it? When you're using scraps, if you just keep looking, sometimes you can keep finding things. And I'm going to black the edge just to be consistent. Whoopsie. Come back over here. There we go. Almost done. And that's a nice little inside treatment there. Goes with the front beautifully. Okay, so we've got these little tiny pieces here. And these embellishments here. And this one I think is not going to be usable. Honestly, I just don't like that one. I don't know why. It doesn't seem to go with this paper to me, perhaps. May be able to do the same kind of thing on the inside with these two pieces. I think this piece is not working. I'm throwing that out. Take note, take note. Let's see. Okay, I think what I want to do is to split this one right down the middle, whatever that middle might happen to be, because those two pieces are the same. This is 1 3/4, so that makes it 7/8, which is halfway between 3/4 and 1. And I'm going to put this in right like that. And I've got my happy birthday stamp. I'm just going to go ahead and stamp this. That was Stampability's happy birthday #1. Okay, now we're going to put this onto this base, and I'm going to start on the middle and then snuggle those other ones just right next to it. So this piece is going to go right smack dab in the middle of this card. I'm going to use my grid lines. This is the middle point right here. I think that's fine. And then these two, I'm going to put right on either side, right next to it. And there we go. I'm going to turn it this way, put my happy birthday on. I'm going to cut that white edge off. And I probably am going to put this up on some foam tape. But before we get too far down the road, I want to see about putting something on this tag as well, because I think it can be used in this card and still have it be a clean and simple card. And I'll get my twine out and make a little long bow for that. I have a little punch right here to punch this out. And I'm going to tie a little smallish little bow to go on here. I'll make it a double. And I'll show you about how I put these in on this set of cards with all these tags I had. I pull the loop in from the back on these, and then I feed the other end through. And instead of having the tag tails on this twine come up, I'm going to pull them down. That way they become an additional set of tails for my little bow. See how that is? There. And then I'm going to take a little glue dot and roll it. You've seen me do this before. I'm going to roll it and put it right here below that little knot. And then put my other little bow right there on top of it. And now this bow has 4 tails, and you can spread this apart a little bit if you want to. And use my bone folder to curl these a little bit. You have to hold tight because otherwise it yanks it away. I think I kind of like that. I'm going to elevate this up just a little bit too, I think. There. Pop that up on the card. Right like that. I'm going to black the edge. This has been a day to black edges, I can tell you that right now. This is the last card, and I'm going to show you the scraps that are left over from this paper. I'm going to glue this down flat. So these 2 little pieces of paper that didn't look like much became a nice embellishment to the front of this card. And the reason is because this sentiment was already, and this piece from the cut-aparts was already there and waiting, and that's what kind of drove the concept. I'll go ahead and put some little gems up in here when I'm through. But this can go on the inside of that card. I forgot. And come back here, and that follows through from the front into the card itself. Then okay, now let's see. Gracious sakes, I've got that bag of ribbons and these little tiny pieces that I cut that I didn't ever use, and this one little piece of cut apart. Every other piece of paper except for this little scrap here, and if I tried really hard I could probably figure out a way to use that. It's all gone. Every bit of it, completely gone. So let's look at the cards that I had made the other day, yesterday, just quickly. There's one. These are handmade tags. These were cut apart tags. This was some of the paper towel. Wish I hadn't used my white pen on that. I liked it better without it. But you know, once you start, you're screwed if you don't like it. This is a handmade tag. This was one of the cut aparts. Add a little white pen there. Another tag. And this is just strips of paper used. Now on this one, I don't know if you can see it or not, but this is, come back here, this is that little fringe technique that I've used before. And just scrap pieces of paper, just making a little background for that label. This is the Stampin' Up! New this year Ladybug punch, and I punched the wings out of different cardstock. And again, I used that same Heard You Caught a Bug, and then put this on the inside. This is one of the paper towel layered up, and I saved a piece to go on the inside. Another ladybug, handmade tag, cut apart tag. This is a nice little men's birthday card, real architectural. Blacked the edges, elevated this one up, and this is just some of the 1 1/4 inch squares that I found when I opened my pack. And then this one is cut apart, cut apart, cut apart here and here, and some of the paper towel. Used it up, did the same technique with my bow here. So that's all the cards, of course, with these. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 cards out of a pile of scraps. And they're all roadworthy cards, I think. And I had one left. I'm putting it in the trash. See y'all next week. Bye-bye.